Welcome back, YouTube. Had a long weekend at the track. C10's in the city, thrashing to get the K5 done. It's a nice Sunday. Been hanging out with the people from Detroit Steel Wheels. Got some cool content on my buddy Sloan here.
What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm part of his fleet. So I thought, you know what? Let's try something new. As an addition to the channel, let's throw in every once in a while a little kind of showcase of our friends' shops, garages, whatever. And who better to start with than my buddy Sloan and his house that's 2 minutes down the road and has 3 cars I've worked on. Well, so far. I'm still trying to talk him into some more builds.
Yeah, it's not very difficult to talk me into spending money on cars because what's the point of making it if you can't spend it, you know?
And what's better than a Sunday with some buddies and some not beers?
A couple of silver bullets.
Yeah,
who knows,
BSing.
Yeah,
well, you might have seen some of these. Actually, if you follow the channel, you've definitely seen this truck because this is the one that we jumped and got it running and jumped through the backyard of my buddy Chris's house, which is over here behind the camera as well.
Oh, I didn't think that one through.
He doesn't have a koozie. He can't be on.
Yeah, he doesn't have a koozie. He can't. Yeah, we're just going to walk you through like a quick little deal of a few things. Let us know how you like these little segments. Just something different. Breaks the monotony of being at the shop and or events. Yeah, let's start with the longest car in the fleet. Check this guy out.
So one thing I think Tim really forgot to mention the most is that all those videos of building and putting together and making them cool is they get done eventually, and then they just get shunned to your shop or your mom's house and then have to have gas pumped out of them and made back running. But, you know, nothing personal.
Multiple dead batteries and flat tires.
Yeah, and having to pump them up and figure out where they're at. or poops. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, so this is 1977 Lincoln Continental. It was actually my grandfather's car.
My grandfather's car that he bought new.
Yeah, from Alabama. So we put it on a wrecker through AAA. They towed 200 miles for the cost of the membership. Luckily, at that point in time, my shop was 199 miles from where the car was located. So we had to unload it in the street so we could get it in. But it's got a 460, a C6 trans, and a Ford 9-inch, which is standard drivetrain for these cars.
As bulletproof as you can get.
Yeah, the only thing more bulletproof than that would probably be a 4080 LS, but we won't have to go into that. We'll get over there later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one in a minute.
We'll get there, but we went with a set of 20-inch Detroit Steels on here, the Smoothies.
Yeah.
With the old dildo hubcap. And the white walls from them as well.
Which looks like, they get some good wear on them. You putting some miles on this guy.
Yeah, I'm going to need a new one here. I think I figured I burned them off the wrong way. Been playing with the settings on the air ride too much. So the back one should have went bad first, but the front ones are. So it's just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
But we've got AccuAir on here as the management system for the air ride. I had Tim, Best Tim Shop around, go through and fabricate basically the entire kit. We pre-bought some cups and stuff, but for the most part had to modify the lower control arm and the upper control arm and hog out for airlines to go through and all that, and cut off shackles in the rear end and put new bag mounts and yada yada.
All the fun stuff that goes along with vehicles that they don't make anything for.
Yeah.
We're no stranger to fabricating due to lack of supply, because everything that I can either afford or am interested in, no one makes anything for.
And fortunately, it's still a solid rear end, and it's not that difficult, but it is work.
Yeah, it was a factory coil spring car, so that helps a ton.
That helps a ton, but these 70s cars are slept on quite a bit.
Oh yeah, everyone's big into the slab side. Obviously, the suicide door stuff that got real popular from, what was the show?
I think JFK. Oh no, you're talking about something else.
Well, okay, JFK. Yeah, he's the OG of these. But Entourage, yeah, real big from the show Entourage.
And Lincoln Lawyer also, the show.
And Lincoln Lawyer.
Yes,
they're really cool. Like slab side stuffs are great if you can afford them. These right here, like he said, are slept on. You can get cars like this in a similar condition, maybe one repaint. Obviously 460 carbureted things. You can get these things for like sub $6,000 a lot of times.
Yeah, you're under 10,000 for a nice one.
Yeah, you can be under 10 grand for a pretty dang nice car.
One of the benefits of
these cruising
cars in comparison to the slab side is there's some galvanized parts on these that help them from being rust. So I mean, this car pretty much sat outside with no door rubbers in it for, I have no idea. It had to have been at least 20 years. And all we did was put some floor pins. Well, Tim put some floor pins in it at one point in its life. And it's good to go other than that.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't have suicide doors, but it has a lot of really cool features. Okay, hidden headlights. That's really sweet. And let's talk about the original dealer tag still on there. And what I'm only guessing is maybe some kind of prevention from breaking the grill when you hit something, but for some reason the grill is hinged, spring loaded.
We still got the Rolls Royce on the top.
Oh yeah. Ding! I mean, these things are cool. Especially when you set them on the ground with some Detroits. I mean, kind of hard to go wrong.
Let's be honest too. Everything big on the ground with a nice set of wheels on it, just as cream of the crop. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat.
Absolutely. Also, while we're being honest, who didn't, as a kid, take their Hot Wheels cars and squish them down until you bent the little suspension in them and made them like super hammered? That's when they looked the coolest. And of the 70s stuff, the Ford Lincoln, the way they did the green on green with the like pillow seat covers, I mean, it's just
Plush.
It's plush. This was class. This was the nicest thing you can buy from Ford in '77. Pretty sweet.
So I guess we should probably transition away from this lead sled that took us about 3.5 minutes to walk past in the parking lot.
As long as a Monday.
Yeah, hopefully not tomorrow. We're here now with this 84 C10 that was featured on the channel once before of Will It Run, and I did a really good job of making it not run for about 1.5 years, and now it has a full air ride suspension and an LS with a 4L80, and I would consider it to be a pretty close full-on restoration.
Yeah, basically it came off the frame. We have a buddy down the road, we've talked about him many times before, Harris Custom Coatings. He basically powder coated everything that could fit in his oven and painted the chassis, freshened the LS swap, obviously tuned by Eric at Queen City like all of our stuff.
Had best damn shop around, go through and work the firewall after we did some patch panels here.
Like on the Blazer you've seen, we shaved the firewall but left the factory seams and made some little panels, bead rolled them to kind of look like, imagine if it was a AC or heat delete truck. Just kind of give it that OE feel. I personally don't like when they fully smooth it where the firewall just looks kind of plasticky and fake. Gives it some character. Obviously Schloss tubs.
Yeah, shout out to them for making a super, super quality product that just fits so well. These filler panels and the tubs, I think the only thing I did was drill holes to mount them. And when you're talking about the aftermarket world, especially something that's molded, that is all you can really ask for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got all the little treatments and tidbits. All of them direct. Obviously they have all our cool reproduction plastic stuff and mirrors and trim. Basically everything that we put on there. Even it had just ever so tiny amount of rust, a little bit of cab corner. It was like, what was it? Size of $50 maybe.
Yeah, at best, yeah, $50.
So we fixed that up, blended that in, and I mean, look at the shine on this. That is original paint that Taylor and I buffed out, and it's got such a cool look to it. Obviously a factory two-tone truck, and you can see here how it has the tan under, right? And you can see these really cool transition areas where they put the tan on the top, but they didn't get the front of the door here, but they got it here. And then obviously they didn't do the top of the fender. It's just really wild to see these original paint patina things, just to see how they wear through. As for wheels on this thing, there's one choice. They're getting Detroit steels with the factory caps, bullet nuts.
Gotta go with the OE look.
OE look, yeah.
OE look. Did a little something on this one that not a lot of people maybe love or like. I don't really care. It was just kind of how I envisioned it. Did a custom wood bed floor, rose it up, raised the factory tubs up, kept them patina. A lot of people do buy new ones and pay them in aftermarket, and I don't know why. I just like the raggedness and the wear that this had as being a truck before.
Yeah, it shows the character. Like, this truck obviously wasn't babied, but it survived.
it survived.
It survived. I mean, you see some of the trucks on the road today that are 10 years old and are way more whooped than this thing is.
Way worse. Way worse.
Dakota Digitals, all new red guts. Red on red. That was the move. You pulled off. Good choice on that one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people wanted me to go with black interior, and I'm just not the biggest Georgia Bulldogs fan, so I just couldn't make myself do it. And, you know, I think a little bit of a tribute to the Lincoln, the green on green, the red on red, man. Let's just make it gaudy. I think that it really makes it era. You know, it makes it where your period that you're building that vehicle to, it goes back to that. You know, a lot of people want to do a real modern look on the interior to show off how custom the vehicles are. But I think, you know, it's just, if you want a nice custom vehicle or a nice new thing, go get a brand new truck, man. These things are old. They're supposed to be old. It's supposed to be rugged. You wouldn't go buy an antique vase and repaint it the way you like it, right? Takes away from it being antique.
If you want to go buy a new truck, like he says, you might get red stitching or maybe like a little bit of red in the interior, but you're not going to get this much color. It just has a lot more character to it. And it sets things apart. I mean, the Blazer has black interior, or black and blue, but it has enough of the blue contrast. It still looks vintage, not overly modern. I love colored interior. Long story short, it fits the era of the vehicle, big time.
Yeah, I love it.
And this one has the other one has AccuAir.
This has Airlift.
Airlift
3H, yeah.
Yeah, that sits perfect, right where it's supposed to. On the ground. Because let's face it, that's where everything belongs. Now we're going to move inside this beautiful garage he has here to something a little different. Something we haven't seen on the channel, but something that Sloan and I are also very passionate about. We love drifting. And he has an extremely cool drift car.
I had a really good idea that I would have a really fast car that was really pretty because Tim paints them. And then I like to tear it up, and I don't know why. Maybe a little bit of I don't know if it's a kink. I'm not going to admit that on TV. But it's something that I do all too often, and I'm all too good at it. But I sure do love doing it. So let's check it out.
Yeah. This is the car that he's tied neck and neck with a late friend of ours, Tyler. So he'll end up passing him eventually. But I've painted this car 4 times. Same car. 4 times. Check this out. Part of this segment we're looking at is showcasing the shops themselves. We know people have these really cool cars. A lot of times they have really cool shops as well. This place, 750 square feet. He built this truck 99.9% by himself in this garage. Doesn't have to be something big and elaborate. You know that from my little 900 square foot shop. He repaired this thing a bunch of times. Modified on his Harley. Pretty cool joint. Let's check it and the S13 out. It looks fine.
Yeah.
Got the Harley hog, and here she is. Was this the 89?
This is a 90.
90 240 SX. And you'll hear us talk about S13s or 14s. It's the 90 through 94 version of the Nissan 240 SX. Popular drift car, probably. S13 is probably the most popular drift chassis, at least in the United States.
I would say probably.
And he has done a super tasteful job of styling and building this car. It's got all the quintessential parts. Got a top garage roll cage tucked up in there nice. Simple but effective interior.
Grip wheel, steering wheel, always. Even
Always.
though it's not in there right now, it's on the sim.
Yeah, and hey, pop the hood.
Pop the hood.
Pop the hood. Woo! So, for the people that don't know, give them the rundown.
This is an RB25. This is out of a Skyline, or as a good friend of ours calls it, a Skyrine. And this one particularly is a Series 1. It is a 2.5 liter dual overhead cam Nissan inline 6. This one, however, is not like your regular ones. This one, instead of hydraulic lifters, has solid lifters, Tomei camshafts, fully forged bottom end, Greddy intake, which is an aftermarket plenum style intake. 1800 cc injector, 1700 maybe, I don't know. Big injector dynamics.
Big turbo.
GTX 30 71 with a Doc Race manifold.
Built by the one and only
Tiger Racing. That's my dad.
The man. He is the import 4 and 6 cylinder builder.
Specialist in Atlanta.
He's the man.
Don't listen otherwise.
Yeah. And long story short, get to the fun part. To the ground, we make what?
We make 500 on E85, and while that might not sound like a lot, it will spin the tires at about 130 miles an hour with a 265 on it. So anybody who says that you need more is not driving their car hard enough.
Right. A little different than the normal stuff we have here, but hey, if something's done well and someone's passionate and proud of it, I can get behind it. Obviously, I get behind this because secretly I have one of these that no one's ever seen. And I have a Corvette.
It's actually how we met, was drifting.
Yeah, it's how him and I met, became best buds. And I have a Corvette I drift. It's just not what I do for a living, so I've never really talked about it on the channel. It's something we're both very passionate about. And you can have a really good looking drift car and a cool pair of classic hot rods in the driveway as well. Which one do you like more?
Depends on the day. If I'm trying to cruise to the store, grab myself a little bit of, silver bullets to go hang out with the
some
boys.
not beers.
I'm probably going to jump right there in the old trusty steed of the C10. If I have been driving the C10 around and I've pretty much had enough fun on the weekends, I decide I'm going to take this thing out and go blow some steam off, literally. Which is also fun with the boys.
While obeying all traffic speed limits.
Yes, always off the road. Main reason because you can drive them way harder when you have a truck and trailer to brake them.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And then you got the Harley Hog, but
yeah, and essentially all this is for is when you're tired of talking to people in person, you get on this and say, "I can't answer the phone because the wind's blowing." Call back never.
Exactly. And a beautiful shop you built here. I was just saying earlier while you were cleaning up what he thinks is a dirty shop, that it doesn't take a huge facility to build some really cool stuff.
No, man. Actually, it's funny you say that. I bought this house and I did a full restoration on the inside of the house. And I said, I'm going to build a shop. So I actually graded this and poured the slab. And I subbed the structure part of it. But we wired it and did the sheetrock and the wall covering in here. And then any tooling that we put in here, the lift, the tables, all of that stuff was built in here by me. And then once that was completed, I said, Tim, sell me that truck. And he said, the one I just jumped through Chris's yard. And I said, well, I guess that'll just have to work for now. So we brought it over here and we put it on the lift. And then we did it all right here in-house with, basically that chest and that loader and that table.
Yeah.
And a bunch of hammers.
Yeah, and a bunch of silver bullets. Bunch of laughs, a bunch of good times.
Lots of cuss words.
But, I mean...
That's hot, right?
Building it, yeah, that's part of it. Sun's going down. Got some friends that came over. We're going to blow off a little bit of steam we have left from the weekend. Yeah, that'll be it for us. Thanks for sticking around. Like, share, subscribe. Tell us how you like these little segments. We thought we'd throw something in just to change it up a bit. To showcase some cool cars and, give a little bit, some people insight on what can be done in smaller shops.
Yeah, so if you guys, you see anything in the video, whether it be, our lift specs or our car specs, if you got any questions about, engines, camshafts, airlines,
anything,
just feel free to ask, man. Just message us and we'll get to you as soon as we can.
Doesn't matter wheel and tire size, whatever. If we know it, we'll tell you. It's no gatekeeping like a lot of people do on wheel and tire specs. It's not how you grow this hobby, this industry. We're an open book. If we have the information, we'll tell you. You can find Sloan on Instagram, Sloanabona.
Sloan_Bona, 2 A's. Probably the one and only.
Probably
the one and only.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sticking around. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
As always, thank you guys.